of all, thank you for asking me to join in on this conference. I mean, the difficulties that we are facing, I think, is common across the globe. I mean, every industry, every individual is facing more or less the same problems. The COVID-19 is a crisis that has been, to put it very simply, unimaginable. I don't think any of us have seen such a crisis in our lifetimes. And this is across the globe, across all sectors of industries and without exception. And so that's something that's a crisis that all of us are facing for the first time. And obviously, it's a huge challenge to try and overcome it. The first step is, of course, obviously, from a medical point of view, is to contain the effect of the virus. This is the first step that has to be taken. Several governments have done it. Our own government has also come out with quite some strong steps and effective steps also. And I think that is the first priority. Everything else comes second. Now that we seem to have a reasonable idea of how serious the problem is, and the several steps have been taken to control the virus. Now the thing is to get the wheels of economy moving. This also becomes important because for too long, the country and the nation and probably the industry cannot survive if everything is under a lockdown. To estimate the effect of the lockdown is going to be a Herculean task. I mean, we have a situation where daily wage earners are seriously affected. They have had no income for a month and a half. Buying power is restricted. Even the people who have their own businesses or have some other source of income have had a considerable hit, have taken a considerable hit. So buying power is reduced. When buying power is reduced, it means that there is less money to spend. And with less money to spend, the economy and demand will not rise to the extent that we expect it to. All markets are affected. Domestic markets are seriously affected. Export markets are affected. And we also have other textile producing countries which have also taken a beating. Countries like the United States, countries like Italy have all been very seriously affected by the COVID-19 crisis, which means that demand for Indian textile products going to these countries will be seriously affected. So it's a crisis that is, unimaginable, and something that we need to really plan for to overcome it. From a textile mills point of view, also it is a big challenge. I mean, our domestic markets are completely closed. The retail shops are closed in India. Consuming centers are closed. The main textile producing centers in India, like in Maharashtra, Ichalkaranji, Bhiwandi, Tirupur in Tamil Nadu, Calcutta in West Bengal, all these centers are completely under lockdown. Spinning mills are also seriously affected. Even if they have the ability to restart now, they need to find markets to sell their yarn. The export markets are also under the same situation. Bangladesh, which is and China, which are the two biggest consumers for Indian textiles, are both either under a lockdown or in a stage where they do not require any raw material at the moment. So this is the current situation, and to overcome this, I think a lot of steps have to be taken by the industry. It will be a major challenge, but I think a challenge which we have to plan for and we have to work for. As per the state government regulations, we are now operating at 50% capacity in the plants which are based in the rural areas. We have started doing that. Of course, there have been a lot of challenges. Textiles, particularly spinning and processing, as you know, are continuous process industries. And cotton, we are mainly in cotton. Cotton is a natural fiber. So to restart an operation after 40 days, to get the machines fine-tune the machines, to get your in-process stock into a workable condition, and all that is a big challenge. But that's a challenge which, unfortunately, all of us have to face. And we've been able to, I wouldn't say we've been able to overcome, but with some difficulties, we've been able to get it back into operation. The other thing has been about training our staff and workers for the COVID-19 SOPs. Now, this is something which has to be done very carefully. It's very important. Just like the health authorities are making sure that there is no chance of spread outside. We have the responsibility as an industry to make sure that all steps are taken to prevent, to ensure social distancing, to ensure medical facilities are well provided for. Apart from this, we also had challenges in the sense that the factories which were able to start production were not able to dispatch their finished goods. There were problems in getting in packing materials and accessories and trims needed for finishing your, to pack your yarn or to roll your fabric or to finish your garments or home textiles. So all this was a challenge because the ancillary industries had not started at that time. But these are all slowly coming into line, and I think this will be hopefully in the near future. These next couple of weeks, we will see these problems getting resolved. But these are some of the challenges that we've had to face as far as restarting our operations were concerned.
Okay.
We give importance to engaging with our customers, our employees, our staff, and our vendors and suppliers. As far as the customers were concerned, we export a large percentage of our production, so we were in touch with both our domestic and export customers. We made sure that we knew exactly what was happening at their end. We had a situation where some customers were still operating, and we had a situation where other customers had even, were closed down completely. We even had one of our customers who was some of their people were even hospitalized overseas. So we had to keep in touch with all the customers, find out what they needed or did not need. Like I said, there were a few people who were in some countries were still operating, needed some priority. So all this planning was done. Even though we were not producing anything, we had to do some planning, some rescheduling, use some stocks that we had, and make sure all this was done. We also kept the dialogue open with our customers to see what would happen, to understand whether they envisaged a closure for several weeks, or they thought they would reopen earlier, or what was happening. On the other hand, we also had situations where customers were really in difficult situations. They were talking of postponements, cancellations, and things like that. And here we used what our textile minister had recommended: commerce with compassion. So we understood their difficulty. We explained our situation, and we tried to see how we could mutually work things out for each other. It wasn't easy, but we were in constant dialogue with our customers. As far as our employees were concerned, this was our first priority. We ensured, because a lot of our workers are located inside our factory, and they stayed in our factory. We took care of them during the entire lockdown period, a good majority of them who were not able to go out. We provided them food, good all medical facilities. There were doctors available on call. All welfare activities were taken care of. We even provided recreation activities because they were there for 40-45 days, and they're used to working 8 hours a day, and when they have nothing to do, things become difficult. We made sure their families were informed of their welfare. We took good care of them, and I'm glad to say that even after restarting, they were able to help us in making a quick restart and ensuring that the process started as quickly. As far as the staff is concerned, we have also a large number of staff in our plants who stay in-house. So we provided all facilities for them because there were a lot in the sort of early stages of the lockdown. There was a lot of restriction on movements and availability of goods. So we organized, groceries, everything to be delivered into the factories, and medical facilities, and these were taken care of. With the vendors also, we kept in touch. Of course, the domestic vendors, most of them were closed, and so we had to sort of deal with them, talk to them when they would restart, see if they could do something. Transport was a major issue, so getting transport organized, getting permits for that, all that took a while. The logistics operation was very difficult. We also had a situation where we had to move export cargo to the port. The permission was given for the containers to move to the port, but unfortunately none of the documents could come back from the port because the courier service was not yet really aware, was not yet fully operational. And so these were all issues that we had to face, but we worked as a team. We worked as a team, not only just us as a company, but also our suppliers, our vendors, our service providers, and we were able to reasonably tide through the difficult time. To start with, I hope there will not be another crisis like this in the future. It's not an easy situation to overcome. I mean, I personally have not had any experience of a crisis of this magnitude. The only situation was the financial crisis in 2007 and 8, where certain markets and certain global markets were affected. And we had a situation at that time. And one of the experiences we learned then was to keep yourself as low in debt as possible. During that crisis, we realized that that was also one of the priorities. Expanding capacities was important. Making yourself, automating yourself, reducing labor costs, reducing other operational costs was also important. But what was very important was also to keep your debt in control. I think a lesson we learned from that, at least I personally learned from 10 years ago or 12 years ago, has probably helped us a little bit now. We have kept our debt under control. And companies which have a better liquidity will probably be able to overcome crises like this than companies which have a higher debt. But this is easier said than done. If you start a new project, obviously there will be financial borrowings and things. So one has to strike a balance between how much debt you want and what are the risks involved. Obviously, people will be more careful in future. They will factor in issues or crises like this into their calculations when they estimate things. The other thing is to keep your operation as efficient as possible. I mean, now we are trying to have a situation where we optimize the number of workers we have. We understand the markets. We see what demand is there, and we sort of streamline production between what raw material you have, what the market wants, and how you use your operational efficiencies, your workers, your machines, to make sure that you produce what is needed. Because in the next 3 to 4 months, we do not know how the markets will be. We do not know if retail stores are going to open up in India, how soon they will open up, or worldwide. If the stores open up, are people going to buy as they normally buy, or they're going to conserve their money, or spend it on somewhere else, or other issues, operational issues, like, for example, in the textile industry, the labor situation is very critical. We are labor-intensive industry, and a large portion of the industry depends on migrant workers. Now, as you know, what is happening now, this situation is very fluid. Now, if it is temporary and things are overcome, then otherwise we could have a situation where there is a shortage of labor. Then one has to judiciously also select where to employ the workers and where not to. We also have a situation where countries, our competitors like China, which have huge textile presence, can probably overcome the crisis faster than we have, because they seem to have it under shape and under control, and they could be a bigger competitor in a sense. On the other side, there are opportunities. Now, people who source textiles from other countries could probably source more from India. The case in example is the medical textiles, and particularly the PPE equipment, where India has gone from scratch to 100 in a very short time. Very remarkable effort by the medical textile industry in India. And I think if people improvise like that, find the right products, get into them quickly, then there will be a success. There is a huge global market. India's share in the global market is still textile market is still not a very large percentage. There is still scope for growth. So I think we need to improvise. We need to find products where demand would be more forthcoming in the future and get into these lines. Definitely, I mean, India's sort of the blend the ratio between synthetics and natural fibers. In India, it's more biased towards natural fibers, whereas globally, it's more biased towards synthetic fibers. This is changing. I mean, now you have a lot of performance fibers, engineered synthetic fibers, which are replacing products which were made with natural fibers. So the focus will change. India also has to adapt to it. The recent changes in the budget, in the duty structure, and all that will also help the growth of the synthetic fiber industry in India. So just like any other company, we are also open to change. I mean, it's not that we are wedded to natural fibers. As and when we see market demand changing, we will be flexible to change. Texprosil is mainly involved in the export promotion activities of cotton textiles, and basically in cotton yarn, fabric, and home textiles. So these are the segments which Texprosil handles. The government of India and several ministries, not only the textile commerce minister, everybody have been very interactive with Texprosil during the lockdown period. We've had more than 3 or 4 Zoom meetings with the commerce minister, with the textile minister, and also with other government officials. Some of them who were not directly related to textiles also came on to discuss with Texprosil and other export promotion councils. So the government has been very proactive and interactive during this period. There were a lot of minor issues, let's say operational issues, in terms of export, in terms of handling courier services, in terms of sampling and all that, which during the lockdown period the government helped, and these were overcome. Now what we need to do is, once again, I mean, India has to increase its share in the global market for textiles, and here the help of the government will definitely come in a big way. Now, one of the schemes, one of the things in our export policy is the refund of duties and taxes when we export. Presently we have a scheme called the ROSCTL and the MEIS scheme. The government has brought in has worked out a new scheme called the RODTEP, which is a very good scheme. It is also WTO compatible, so which means that it will be accepted internationally. This scheme will be launched probably during the course of this year. Now, it's important that this scheme covers all textile products. At the moment, a few products are left out, like cotton yarn is left out. It's very important that all products are included. This will make the entire basket of India's textile products globally competitive. We have important global market share in home textiles, in garments, in yarn, and in fabric. And it's important that export of all these products are encouraged because there is scope for increasing our share if this is done. Competition. We have competition from countries in the Far East, in neighboring countries in South Asia, and to overcome this, we need to have our taxes and duties refunded. There are also certain specific products where we can probably, in the current global scenario, get a bigger market share. Apart from medical textiles, there are also some home textile products where we could supply more than some other countries which are doing in the future. And here also we've requested the government for some export assistance in that. The other main thing is the tariff issues. Now, countries like Bangladesh and Sri Lanka have lower tariffs for their finished products when compared to India. So if India could, bring in an FTA with United Kingdom or with Europe, that would definitely be a big fillip to our industries, and it will help the industry to grow substantially in exports, because that is one of the reasons why we are not able to compete with our neighbors. Even if you take a country like China, we have a trade agreement with China where there is a duty on import of fabric into China. Pakistan does not have. If they sell into China, they do not have a duty, whereas India has a duty. So these are things which have to be bilaterally negotiated. And if we are on a level playing field, we are not asking for any special favors. If we are on a level playing field with our competing textile countries, we will definitely be able to increase our share. As far as the other points are concerned, cotton. Cotton is still a strong point for India. India is one of the largest cotton producing countries in the world, and it's very important that our farmers get the benefit. They are encouraged to grow more cotton and improve yield and quality. And I think the government should formulate a scheme of direct benefit to the farmers in lieu of bringing in a minimum support price. The benefit should go directly to the farmers. If there is anybody who needs financial help, it's the farmers. Nobody else needs help. If the farmers are taken care of, the rest of the industry will benefit indirectly. So I think these are the requests that we have made to Textforce, to the government. I mean, the package announced by the Prime Minister, which was 10% of our GDP, is in financial numbers, it's quite a large help to the industry. The first phase, which was announced yesterday, had a lot of help to the MSME sector in particular. I think there are a lot of textile companies which are in the MSME category, and this will definitely help them in some in a way to revive, and from a financial recovery point of view, it will definitely be of help. We need to see what further steps will be announced by the government in the days to come. India is one of the growing economic powers in the world. So obviously, I mean, it is natural to expect that there are opportunities for India. I think it's perfectly right. And particularly in textiles, where India is one of the major players, where it has a very strong base in textiles, from raw material to finished products. I think India can definitely look at increasing its market shares. There are a few hurdles which I mentioned earlier. If these are overcome with government help, and if the industry puts in that extra effort, I'm sure the growth potential for in India post-COVID it will take us a year or so to get over this difficulty. But once we do it, I would also agree with the concept that we have a better potential going forward. You said it's $1 billion question because a lot of money is at stake. One has to see how one will get back. It's probably a bit too early to estimate because we still do not know what the full effect of the COVID situation is. We do not know how long things will continue like this. So it's difficult to guess anything, but I don't see things getting back to normal before the end of the year at the earliest. It could take longer. But that's purely my personal view.